evening, everybody. Here I'm in the floor, in the kitchen, on the floor again. We've just fed the boys in the hope that they calm down, but you get on the floor, as you know, if you've got dogs, and you put something on there and they want to be on it. So what have I got? Here's the Scandi Christmas quilt. This is the quilt that you're working on in a minute. And the reason I'm on the floor is because I want to sort of show you how I've laid it out. And that's the most important thing. Because in the instructions, when you're doing your blocks, it says that you keep this plain one here on the left-hand side at the top every time. And if you actually look at that, that's what I'm getting here, the left-hand side at the top. So I've got this one and then the set of three below and the long one next to it. So even this, it's on the left, bottom left, right, left, bottom left, right. Hopefully that makes sense, because I can't see what you're saying about this, so hopefully that does. Now, having said that, you can see that what I did is I put all the heart shapes all facing one way. And that means that putting the blocks together and working out which way they go first really helps me identify which way they went. So if you don't mind about that and you're not worried about it being sort of a bit random and hearts going all over the place, then that's absolutely fine. So I've made my blocks up. I've got quite a few more than the 20 that are sort of in this quilt here. So you can see the one that we did last week. Now, as it so happens, I've said put everything on the left. This one's on the right, and that's how it ended up. So I'm not going to worry about it. I've just made sure that every single one of my blocks has got this piece on the right. So see, right, right, left. If I show you another one, like right, right, left. Now, it doesn't matter which way, as long as once you've worked it out, you keep them all the same. That's the whole point of it. So that's where I've gone with this. Now, I haven't just got the black and the grey kind of blocks. I'm just going to move this one out the way now. Look, I've got a captive audience, look. So if I just move this out the way for a second, and then we can have a look at sort of planning these out. There we go, over there. He's going to go and lie on that now. My space. My space. Mummy's space. I know you want to love, I know. Now you notice with all of these, keeping this on the right isn't going to sort of quite work, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. So let's have a little look at this. With your foot, thank you very much. Now I've also, you see I've got, I say way more here than I need. I've also got the blue variation, because I'm going to sort of do an offset. And rather than draw all of these, I've actually got my embroidery machine out this afternoon, and I've done a little bit of an embroidery on there to sort of go with it. So let's just put a few of these in place as well. Okay. Oh, Benji, that way. Go that way. That way. No, that way. That way. Go on, that way. Good boy. Don't we just love them? All right, let's have a look at this then. So let's put another one of these in here. Let's just sort of have a look at that for a moment. Now, the thing is, if I was to leave it like this, yeah, looks very nice because it's one of the black versions, one of the blue. But the problem's going to be is here. You've got to match this and you've got to match this, and we don't really want that. We want to make life easy. So what I'm going to do is I want to turn it round so I don't have to match this anymore, you see? Now that means that that heart's facing the wrong way, and that's fine, because what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do it completely random, so you can see, first of all, of course, with the one that's all the same way, and now how it would look if they were all completely random. So let's take this one, for example, and have a look at this one. Again, I don't want to have to match all of these, so I'm going to turn it round. So I don't have to match it anymore. And yeah, it's facing a different way, doesn't matter, okay? So let's have a look at this one. Do I want to match that? I could match that together, maybe. Or do I want to turn it round? So I don't have to match it. Okay, so then I'm looking at this, maybe coming across a little bit of an issue at some point, but let's see how it goes. You see now, not having to match there, not having to match there. So if I do the same with that one, okay. Now here, bit of an issue, so maybe we'd have to turn one round at some point because we've got those matching there. We want this to do. So you see how it's got to work, where you've got to be looking at each one and you've got to think, right, okay, what do I want to match? What don't I want to match? So just sort of take your time and do this, because you don't want to be sort of working it out and thinking at the end, oh, I've got to match all those things. There'll be a little pattern that you can create that suits you. So what I'm going to be doing here is all of my blocks, I'm going to keep this on the top right, and I'm going to draw it as though that was facing this way. And then when I put them all together, they're all going to face in different directions. And I think that's probably going to be the best bet for this particular quilt, to work it out that way. So I'm not going to get the rest of it out. You can see how it's starting to work there. And you can see, look, I've got my my two boys there waiting for me to move. So if that sort of gives you a little bit of an idea on how to put things together, let's sort of take those up for now, and we'll go back to the instructions and we'll have a little look at those. Now, I have ironed them, so let's keep them neat and tidy. So that's all my blue ones. Now, just because I've embroidered this doesn't mean I don't have to leave it as this. I can actually come in and tangle in there and add some extra bits and pieces. So that's something I can do a little bit later. Maybe a bit of embroidery in there, you know, something a bit different, just to help it on. You see, look, I'm piling these up and I'm keeping that all on the same side. Okay, so I've got to get up now. And here we go. So I'm going to put these on the side, and John's going to give me the camera and we're going to do a switch. There he is, look. So let's have a look at the instructions now. So if I turn you back round, and I'll plug you into my little stand here. Hello, everybody. John's not very good at relaying messages, so if there's something that you wanted to ask a little bit earlier, please do so now. Here we go. Knock that light off so we don't have the camera in our face. Hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea as to what we've sort of done. And of course, I've got my instructions this week. So, all right, let's have a look then at where we're at. First of all, walking along here, it gives you the information and it gives you a sort of a quilt size. What I will say with my pieces, you'll notice that the edges are all very neat. You're probably going to find you're going to have a little bit of overhang with your fabrics. That's absolutely fine. That just means you've got an opportunity just to trim it down afterwards. But what you have to do is to make sure that every single one of these squares matches. It's all the same size. So that's why we left a little bit around the edge so you can trim it to make sure. So press them all, and once you've done all of that, then come around and just trim off the edges, but make sure they're all the same size, okay? So here we go. We've already talked about fabrics and how we sort of place them out, and you can see here that this one, look, has not had to match this one. This one hasn't had to match this, and that's what we're looking for. So just sort of see how you get on with that. It's a little bit of a puzzle that you've got to sort of try, but honestly, it'll look great when it's done. This little bit again shows you how we've made it. And you see here, look, I've actually done this one to this, and then I've put it on the left. That's absolutely fine. It really doesn't matter as long as you do them all the same. So here I've kept them all, as you can see, on the left. But then look, moving it around, I've actually changed the pattern, but they're still there, okay? And then this is sort of what we've just done. We've put them all together and had a look at where they would fit together if we needed them to. Having said that, you see this one here, look. This one, I've actually had to match there, but that's okay because I've matched the corner, you see? So if you've got to do that, that's not a problem. What you don't want to do is have to match these 3 strips with those 3 strips. We don't want a big stripe all along. So if you can get away without matching anything, fine. If not, then you've got your 3 there, and that's okay. You can do that. Okay, moving along then. So this talks a little bit later about how you do your binding, which we don't need to worry about right now. And then here's our stencil. And here's some instructions, just giving you a little bit of a guide about how to do things. Now, last week I showed you quite straightforward in a sense on how to do a basic shape and actually add some tangles in it. If you remember, we actually used some of those items that were on the back of the sheet. So taking little bits from there, you're going to be able to create your own designs. But I think I need to go through how to sort of do frames and things. So I'm going to do a couple tonight, and then I'm going to sort of let you loose, so to speak, to see how you get on, okay? So first of all, looking at this one, like sectioning off the heart shape. If I just sort of move up a little bit, you can see there it shows you, look, this is the wider of the two hearts. Quite a wide one, see? And you've got a narrow one. So it doesn't matter, you can do this with both. So what we're going to do is we're going to work around and create this little frame shape. And it sort of shows you how to split it up. Now, if you've already got one of my frames for paper crafting, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about splitting space up and things like that. I just want to find the middle, okay? So I've got something to work to. Go a bit of a cross there. That'll press out afterwards. And speaking of pressing out, what I've got is I've got my Frixion pen here. Now, always test a Frixion pen on the fabric you're using just to be 100% sure. This one I know works and it irons off pretty well and it doesn't come back. Having said that, they do talk about certain Frixion pens, if it gets really, really cold, then it could come back. But I'm not going to be putting it in the freezer anytime soon, so it should be fine. And there you go, I've got my regular black fine liner, my 03. So that's all good, ready to go. So, okay, it says with this frame then, draw around the largest and smallest heart, making the centre dot and a row of dots just inside the largest heart shape. So there's my middle. Let's just put that mark in so I can see it. Oh, let's just check that my pen works. Yeah. Just needed a little bit of a warm up itself. Okay. So there's the dot and there's the dot. Look for my centre, for my heart shape. And I've sort of lined it up. I've done it by eye. Look, I'm looking at my little bit of fabric at the top there. So I know it's pretty straight, so I'm happy with that. And then if you're going to keep the outer shape, then draw it in regular pen by all means. If you're not, then do it in your Frixion pen because of course you can rub it out later. So I'm gonna go in with Frixion pen, yeah, just to be sure, because I can always come back and put it in later. We did talk last week as well, didn't we, about using freezer paper on the back to give you a little bit more structure when you're drawing on fabrics. And that's absolutely fine if you want to do that, or you could use interfacing, we've done that before. So I've gone with the outside and I'm going with the smallest, look, on the inside. There we go. All right, so we've got that kind of a shape going on. So it then says, number 2, create sections around the heart shape. Oh, we've got to make the dots around the large, or just inside the largest heart shape. So I could do them here, or I could do them here. I'm going to mark them in here. Let's put these dots in. Okay. Now these are just going to split up the space for me so I can create a frame and know that when I finished it around the outside edge, it's going to look like it's sort of evenly spaced. That's the plan. Okay. So let's have a look at this. You see, so I've got my 2 hearts and then I've got my little dots all the way around. So if I use my frame here, and what I can do, look, is I'm going to go from the centre and I'm going to create a line there. You see, using that dot. Let's go on a little bit more. So then the same again, look. Now what I can do, see if I work my way across there. There you go. Line it up with the dot. Come there, see, there's the dot, there's the dot. So working my way all the way around here, what I'm getting is that kind of a shape, and it's going to split up that space for me as I work my way around. Okay, now I'm going to sort of take my time and get this all done. See here, I'm going to join that in. And remember, this is all ironable, So if you make a mistake or you think, oh, it's not really what I wanted to do, you can iron this away because it's one of those Frixion pens. All right, so I'm not worrying if I don't get a full line there. It's only a guide, remember. See how that's working? So keep lining it up. Come in and draw those lines. See that one there, definitely. So I've got half of it done already. And I'd follow it all the way around. Just so I get in this sort of shape. Now, you'll notice that as I work my way around here, see that's a little bit narrower than this one. Because as the heart shape goes to the centre, that's the shape it's going to create as it's getting bigger. So it's almost giving you the perspective that you need. So whatever you draw in those shapes, it's going to all look, or it is all going to go towards the centre. So it's going to give you a better finish than trying to draw this freehand and not quite getting the angles right. So all the way around. I know this takes a little bit longer, but I think it's important that you see it in sort of live time, and you can see where it goes from there. Okay, and of course one in the centre there. So we've got now a sort of a shape that's got construction lines all the way around it, that we can put anything we like in here, and it's going to sort of all go to the centre. So you see I'm actually using the dots. I could come in and put an extra line in there. It's going to give me another heart shape. Or what I could do, I could come back in, put my dot on, and I could come in and draw the sort of middle heart. But this one I'm going to go with, because it does say in the instructions, create a section of the heart, all lines lead to the centre 4. The dots in this case can be used to make a second row inside the largest heart. So let's join those dots. All right. So again, still using that Frixion pen. Everything at the moment is ironable. Now there isn't a dot here, so what I'm going to do is aim it downwards, and then that one is going to suit and come on round and create those lines. Okay, there you go. So I've got quite a frame, and I could put that second one in, so I'll get another section of lines. Actually, let's do that so you can see how that would work. Here we go. So if I put that all back on. Okay, I just want to sort of make sure that I can see my lines. And if I put that one in as well. So you can see you can build up quite the construction set. Oh, wrong one. If you want to. It's a good job. Yeah. If I had a brain cell, another one, I'd be dangerous. There you go. Put that one in. Just want to make sure I can see. Of course, this is all going to iron away afterwards. There you go. So you see, I can actually create more shapes than just that one if I want to. So let's work with this then and see what we can actually do with it. There's lots of areas there that we can sort of do something with. See that one? Let's bring that in. And again, this one comes down and it's sort of going to join there. That's fine. All right, so where do we start and what do we do? Now, these instructions only show you how to get to the frame, and that's the first part. But then let's have a look on the back at these patterns again. There's lots of different things going on here. So let's have a look. For example, we've got this flower design here. Let's see if we can put this flower design in here. So coming in with my regular pen now. Okay. And it starts with a sort of a dot. Now I'm going to choose one of the shapes. Which one? This one. Now you think, oh, that's a bit wide. What's going to go on there? Let's see how it goes. I'm going to put the bubble in. And then as I sort of work my way around, I'm going to almost follow that same line or that same shape. And as they get narrower, I'm going to draw a smaller bubble. Okay. Sort of a little dot almost as it comes to there. Now there's definitely a line there. And So this is sort of the first part. Now, you could do one section at a time, but I kind of like that muscle memory of repetition. Keep it going. So there's my dot all the way around. And then looking at the instructions, see here, we've got 2 loops one side and 2 loops on the other. Okay, so I'm going to choose the sides. I'm going to go top and bottom. You see how wide they are? And then of course the middle is going to be a bit narrower. All right. So again, you can choose. You can do top and bottom on all of them, or you could do the sides at the same time. And I'm making an effort to make sure that my sides look all joined together. So everybody's is going to be a little bit different because you're going to choose something different maybe, or you're going to have maybe, I don't know, pointed type sort of leaves, petal shapes, or you're going to put this somewhere else. The point is you've got all those different patterns there that you can use to create lots of different things. You see, it's quite thin there, but it's working. Look at that. So let's go around this one, putting these little shapes in. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually add another loop on either side and create a fuller flower shape. But I'm going to stick in with that tangle for now, just to give it a bit of a go there. Okay. So I don't have any freezer paper or anything behind this. I'm going completely free, but I am actually holding the fabric top and bottom, just so it sort of stays. It's going to move whatever you do, so do what's comfortable for you, whether it's freezer paper or whether it's a board behind, or you can interface it. That it all works, it's all fine. So of course, as you get further down, so your shapes. So let's go a little bit bigger. All right, and my little flowers are getting smaller. Let's see how it feels doing top and bottoms first. So you get into that sort of repetition mode, don't you? Well, let's do these. We know that these are all going to join, a bit like a chain stitch. Keep my way along. Okay. And into there. And along. And sort of working my way in. I kind of like doing it this way, you know. I think this feels a bit better. Doing all of these shapes first, and then going back and doing the others. And of course, as they get a little bit further up that top edge, they're going to get a little bit bigger. So that's how it gives it its design. Okay, so again, let's come on in and put those lines in, little loops, one on either side. And those ones. See, they're getting smaller as they go further down there. Almost done. Okay, let's have a little look at this. There we go. So look at that. Now, if I was to iron this away, you just have these little loops. So you do have to decide if you want to keep the heart shape or whether you want to see the loops. You could actually come in and draw little curves if you wanted to change the shape, or you could go curvy this way. So again, a couple of little options there. But what would we do in these spaces? So let's have a look. We've got this in. Maybe look at doing this one, sort of the leaf to go with it. So how would we approach that then? Looking at the shapes, they're quite narrow. Would it be better in this one? Maybe. So let's put it in this one and see how it goes. Now, I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to sort of do a mirror image. And because it's leaning that way already, I'm going to come in and put in that first leaf shape. I'm going to take the whole space, and then this one, the whole space. Okay. And then this one, I'm going to go diagonally this way, across the whole shape, and then this way, and then this way. So again, you can think about this as, are you going to put the heart shape around, or are you going to leave it as this kind of edge, or we're going to put something else in it? Who knows? Let's sort of worry about this first, and then we'll look at that afterwards. All right, so I'm taking each space, I'm creating that sort of zigzaggy kind of design along here. Now I know that this is classed as the Scandi quilt, it's the Christmassy one, and its original format, it's Scandi design. It's got the Christmas Scandi fabrics, and it's got this lovely heart shape that gives it that sort of homely feel. You see, I've gone to the bottom there, so I'm now going to come around this side. But this fabric that I've chosen is from the Liberty winter collection, so I'm still keeping it within the winter sort of vibe, but there's no Christmas trees or little elves or stockings or anything on it, or reindeers and snowflakes. But I think as a winter quilt, it's got that lovely sort of icy colour to it. And of course the opulence that we're going to have on this is coming from the fabrics. See, look, I've got the gold in that one, and on the blue version I've got the silver metallic. So you're going to get that sort of decadent feel with it, although it's not going to shout Christmas. And that just means, I suppose, that I can use this during the winter and not have to have it just for the Christmas season. And I do have the other one for that. But there you go. Let's have a look at that. Look at that, look how different it looks by doing that. There you go. So again, you could iron that away and just have this shape, but I think I'm going to come and do a pattern inside here. And looking back at our instructions, I know I've not done that little line yet, but I don't worry about that one. Is loops play a large part. See there, look, loops. And even these to some extent are little loops. See, loops all over the place. So I'm going to take that kind of idea, and I'm going to put some loops in on those little V's. So first things first, then I'm going to draw one straight in the middle up the line, like so. And then one on this side, and one on this side. See how it just filled that V in? And same here, look. One there, then another, then another. And around, and again, and again, into there. And you see again, as I work my way around the shape, they're getting smaller as I go, but I'm still starting in the middle, and I'm still getting 3 in where I can. If you find it's a little bit too much and you can't get 3, then draw one either side the line, and that will do just fine. But I've done it on that side, so there's no reason why I shouldn't do it on this side. Let's go a bit bigger, see? And this one. See, and again, you get into the throw of drawing these little loops. There we are. There you go. And just sort of having a really great time doing it. There we go. And to this one. See, as they get further up, they get bigger. I'm still starting in the middle and coming around. And this one. Okay, let's have a look at that. A bit further. Look at that already. Okay, it's looking quite nice, isn't it? We have got this section in the middle, and okay, we could actually put the loops in here too. And I think, I don't know at the moment, I'm going to see. I think what I'm going to do though here, I'm not going to go too in depth because of course we want to keep that quite clean, crisp feel to it and not overdo the tangles. So I'm going to create one of these loop shapes or these little leaves, and I'm going to do it at the bottom there, you see? So underneath each one of these sort of little shapes, we're going to put in a little leaf. And you'll notice that it's not on every one, it's on every other one. So it's spacing it out. I'm using that grid to sort of, just to help me out, to help me create what I want to create. And I know I'm going to get to the end and they're going to look pretty well spaced. Okay. See that one as well. And that one. So following it round, and of course once all this is ironed away, you're not going to see those red lines. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so again, I could actually have a design in the middle, but not wanting to go too crazy. If we look at this one, see it's nice and crisp and clean, a bit of colour on it. So I'm not going to go any further with that one. I am going to see if I can gauge John's attention though, and ask him to come and iron this Frixion pen away. Yeah, I've got the mouth open and me with an iron, what's going on? Kind of look. Okay, thank you, husband. All right, so let's have a look. I'm going to come in with the, see I've got a similar one. Let's have a look. I'm going to go with this one. Let's try something else whilst he's doing that. So again, I've got my block and you see, look, I've got the same facing. So this is facing me with these underneath. And I'm going to keep it that way all the way through. So obviously my hearts are all going to be different directions, but I really don't mind that. That's absolutely fine. So, okay, we've got another way using the dots. Let's have a look at this one here. So it doesn't matter which heart you use. I think I'll probably use the thinner one now. You see it's got these dots, but it's actually used them to create a bit of a design. So let's do that. Let's bring that in. Thank you. That's brilliant. You can iron more often. There you go. Look at that. No Frixion pen on it anymore. It looks fantastic. I'll add a bit of colour on that in a minute. But I just want to get through these few things so you can see what you're doing. And then you can sort of be getting on with creating your blocks. All right. See, just a little crease there so I know where I'm working to. And this time I'm going to use that thinner one. And Frixion pen again. Just want to mark my centre so I can see it. There you go. And let's put that one in. So this time I'm just going to use the bottom edge just to sort of make sure it's it's the same sort of place. And I'm going to come in with this top space. Now on the image here it does sort of show keeping that heart. So let's do that. I'm going to come in with my black fine liner because I'm going to keep that. All right. And around here. There you go. So I've got that shape. Okay, there you are, look. So I've got that going on. And then on the inside it's got some dots. And again, I'm going to be, moved it. I'm going to be keeping those dots. Let's just put that back in place. There you go. So I'm going to draw them in pen. But please, you do whatever works for you. If you want to do all this in Frixion pen first, I know that there's a lot of time goes into doing these quilts, so please don't think that you've got to do it exactly the same as me. You do what works for you, it's fine. All right, same on this side. Ooh. Not worried about going over the stencil, it'll come off. There you are. Okay. So, little dots. As we go. So we've got a little bit of a different look than before this time. So I'm going to very carefully sort of sketch in the rest of the heart shape there. And that one. Now if you find that you've sketched it and you're not happy with the finished look, you can always do a row of bubbles around the edge, and that'll remove that sort of a join line if you need to. Okay, there we go. So let's come in a bit. And this has got a nice little row of flowers around the sides. So using the dot as the centre, if I go top and bottom, just like we did before. Now this time instead, we could do that side, and then fill in the middles. Or I could do two this side and two this side. Okay. So I'm going to do, for now, I'm going to do every other one. Because you see here, they're going to get quite close. So some of them might overlap. So rather than try and do them all and squeeze them in, I'm going to sort of make it a feature. There you go, look. See? And I'm going to keep it level, so I'm always doing the top. So they're quite uniform, working their way down. So into this one, look. Not too big because we know they're going to overlap, but we don't want them to take over completely. So there you are. Look, distinctively I've gone smaller there. And then the next one, so that's going to go quite small too. Still getting 6 in though. Okay. So change the size to sort of suit the space. And don't try and overdo it. Keep it nice and clean, and we don't want a massive amount of detail in these, okay? Remember the theme that it's coming from, so we want to keep true to that if we can. And then back up. See, again, I'm missing every other one. All right. Like so. So keeping it quite small down here. Again, I'm starting at the top of each one. Just working my way up. All right. And this next one. And here I can go a little bit bigger. Again, still doing top and bottom and 2 either side. Working my way around. And this is the absolute beauty of using these stencils and putting these dots in. I know that I've got a dot and a flower and it's all matched all the way around. So now you've got a choice. Do you want to leave and put a flower in, or do you want to do something else? Do you want to change it a bit? I think we'll change it a little bit. So let's have a look. So if I start at the bottom edge, because that's where it's a lot sort of closer together, isn't it? I think what I'm going to do is, let's do it with Frixion pen first, just to be sure. What if we put a, come around that line and put a leaf there and a leaf there? What do you think? Or we could do 3 little leaves. See, got a different option there. Or we could just do 1. Or we could leave the dots completely and put some leaves around the flowers. Let's have a look at that. You see how it just sort of changes them up a little bit. So we could have a 2, then a 3, then a 2. You see, I actually quite like that. I think leaving those dots. And again, the beauty of the Frixion pen means that you can decide what you want to do and then come back in and draw it in afterwards, knowing that just like a rubber, it's going to actually remove those lines. All right? So let's put those in. So I'm going with the idea of 3s and 2s. But I'm not trying to keep them the same. See, I'm putting 3s and 2. I'm not trying to keep the same 2 in the same position every time. I just want to give it something a bit different. And that'll sort of show up when I add a bit of colour. Okay, there's my See, that's 2, so that's a 3. Then I've got a 2. Then I've got a 3. And again, they're quite small, aren't they? So you're not really going to have to seriously colour. It's all about a gesture of something, isn't it? Okay, 2 there, look. And 3 there. And then 2s. And 3s. And just like I planned it, look, I'm back to 2s. This little bit doesn't matter. I can rub that out when I need to. So let's have a little look at that. There you go, look at that. So with that in mind, you can leave it completely like that, or you could come in and add more to it. You could add waves, extra bubbles around and things, but I'm going to keep with that simplistic sort of feel to it. And we did mention colour, so let's just have a quick look here. So I did have my Inktense here. Look what I've done. I've saved them from last week. And I'm going to stick with a certain amount of blues just to keep it consistent. Now these ones are from the new colour range, so they're not in the original set. But having said that, I've got the original set and it's fabulous. It's just that they've got different blues. So looking at this one, quite small. Let's have a look. So I want a bit of a contrast. So this one for sure, because it's quite pale. And then maybe I'll go with the Storm Dust as a bit grey, or lapis blue. So my leaves, I'm going to add a touch of that paler blue on. And you can see you're not getting much in it there at all because they're so small. But I want to have a difference between leaves and flower, you see. So if I bring this one in, and just add a little bit around the middle. Okay, now once I add it, I don't even know if I'm going to add a touch of water on that actually. It's so small. But you see, you get a difference in colour now. So you're getting the dark on the flower and you're getting the paler on the leaves. Let's just do another one. All right. So there you go. There's my 3. That's my 2, and my 3, and then round we go. Okay, and just add a bit of colour in. So you see how that's starting to sort of work its way around. You're getting that little hint of something around there. So if I just put that to one side for a minute, and I bring in the one that we did earlier. So if I change my colours, I'm going to use, let's have a look, I've got this lovely nightshade. And I'm going to go with the mineral blue. And let's start with, I'm going to do these bits here. So starting with that darker one, let's add a little bit to those areas. Now you see, this is why I didn't put those lines on, because I'm coming back in with the pencil and doing it. Of course, a little bit of water on that and just blend it out a bit later. Would look quite nice. See, always starting from the bottom edge and working in towards the shape, because that's going to give me a nice sort of a wispier edge. It's going to give me a dark at that bottom edge and a bit of a wisp around that top edge there. So it's already looking quite nice, isn't it? So and a little bit at the top of those too. Now you're already getting that little hint of shade as we work our way around. And in we go with that one. Now you can also use this on paper. I don't think it's just purely for fabrics. If you want to actually create these shapes on paper first and try a few out, then you can do that. Or actually they look quite nice as cards if you want to do that. Little toppers. You see, as I'm getting further down, I'm putting a little bit less on because it's a smaller shape. And into this one. So you see how that's going? We're going to get to, I'll do this bottom half and you can sort of see if I bring the other colour in. So hardly any. You don't really need much at all. These pencils are going to last for ages. Well, they're quite a buy, aren't they? They're not the cheapest, but they work brilliantly and they will last you a long time. Okay. So look how that's coming out now. You see that shading? How it's working? A little bit on that top one there. There you go. Just add in little bits as you go. And of course, if you didn't want to, you don't have to colour it at all. You can use your pen and you could put those little lines in. Or of course, you could paint it or stitch over it. Little embroidery stitching, machine stitching, all sorts of things. Okay. So that's sort of working quite nicely now. Almost there. So there's the last few to do. To this one. And that one. Oh, not forgetting that one. And that one. Oh, Chris, absolutely yes, you can use your coloured microns. That would work really well. Honestly, this is all about whatever you want to do with it. You know, this is your quilts, and we know that they take a lot of time to do. This one probably, in terms of putting it together, is the easiest, as it's all straight lines and strips. And of course the tangling is pretty simple, but what I am doing this time, it's almost like the tile swap. I'm giving you some of these little tangles and then saying, come on, have a go and see what you can come up with. It's not that I don't want to help you, I'm just trying to give you that little bit of encouragement to create your own version of this quilt. And you, honestly, you'll be really pleased with the results, you will. So, I'm just going to show you a few things and then you can do what you want. So far we've done a heart without a frame at all. We've done a frame, which is this one here completely. You know, breaking it up and using those construction lines. And we've used the dots to create flowers and little shapes. Which is, here we go, this one here. So that's just looking lovely, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. And of course you could put something in the middle. So this one, look, where we've done just those little flowers. So again, you could add extra bits around. You could put more leaves in or keep it quite simple. But that in itself gives you a little bit of structure, doesn't it? Something a little bit different, so quite simplistic. This one, we've actually included just the shape, but we've added a little bit more of the flourish around the edge, very much freehand, whereas that was structured with the dots. So, little look at the instructions now. See, we've done sort of this one and this one. This one here shows a similar thing. You can see what we've actually done. We've drawn the heart shape. And then you can either use the dots to mark on the points to create these shapes within those dots, or you can do this freehand. You can perhaps see there, look, I've probably done one here, one here, one here, and one here. And then I've put one in the middles, and then I've filled the space around, and that gives you a bit of a frame design. And then you can put something in the middle. This one here, look, it's again quite freehand. So we've got these little loops, mixture loops and dots and curls and things. So again, looking quite freehand there. This one, you can see again, look, we've actually used the dots and created sort of just a two loop, like a little bow. And then where the dots were, we've got a dotted line going around the inner edge to look like it's a bit stitched. And then looking at this one, we've taken those dots and we've gone outside. So if I was to show you, look, here we go. There's your heart shape. You see the dots on the outside? So this one has done that. So this, where it ends, is where the dots are on the outer edge, these dots here. And then I've drawn a line. So this line matches the center each time, you see? Each time. And then once you've got all those in, instead of doing a straight line, you see I've come in and I've put a little curve. Let's go a bit bigger there. I've put a curve around the outside edge, giving it this little bit of a sort of ribbony kind of 3D edge. And then of course what you would do with this is you would add a little bit of pencil either side of each of those lines and give you that 3D feel. So this is the one we sort of did, here we go, last week, where we had a go at this. You can see it there. This one, very much the same as what we've just done. We've split our space, and then I've gone and joined the dots and created 2 lines. Now just looking at this one here, what I've actually done within it, well, you can see it perhaps better here, I've put a cross in the middle or in each section around that top edge. You see, a cross. So this one there, and then it would go there. And then looking at that, you see this little big pattern it makes? These little crosses, you can sort of see them now, yeah? And then little dots on the bottom there creates that lovely sort of feel. And then of course working with that, you can add something on the inside. So I think I've given you everything that you need there to sort of create these wonderful designs. This one, look, I've only used a shape and gone up part of the side. So I've not used the whole heart shape, just giving you a side view. And then this one, again, you see I've used that second and third heart, not the smaller one. Where the dots are, I've put little crosses. So you could actually do that with cross stitches if you wanted to, with thread, and then added a flower inside. So that gives you your first 7 designs. If you were going to copy them exactly, the instructions give you that information and show you how to do it. But then take those, if you like the frames, if you like the freehand, choose the ones you prefer, and then come back to this back page. Look at these little flowers and these little designs. Mix it in with your own things. Maybe even bring some of the items or some of the tangles from the tiles if you do that too. And add those in as well. So that's going to give you everything you need to create the blocks.